Bonjour, Kinamagi Nene Ireland Indigenous, and welcome to this week's episode featuring an overview of our Week 23 learning plan, newsletter, and announcements. As is normal, we'll begin within our Google Classroom on our stream page. Just a reminder of how students can quickly send me an email if they have any academic questions or need to know something related to field trips or culture class or whatever event is going on at the school. They can email me by clicking here. You can also reach me via Google Voice. Certain points of the day I may not be able to answer, but I do receive text messages and I will reply as quickly as I can. If you are going to either text or leave a voicemail, please include your name and the student's name so I know who I'm talking about. Please be aware that there are certain topics that I might ask that we talk in person or via the phone versus texting. You can see today's newsletter. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. And as we go down the page, you see some older stuff, including the January breakfast and lunch menus. Updated ones for February will be coming very soon. As soon as I have them, I'll make copies and I will send them to you as well. We have our school calendar, and a link to the school web page. And I'm going to start right there at the school web page as breaking news. As I record this video on Friday morning at 6:47 a.m., we are under a 2-hour delay at this time. And you can always find these kind of things by looking at sagchipschool.net. You can see that Ms. Christina Sharp has put out that there's a 2-hour delay. Yesterday's closure. If you scroll down on this page, there are links to go to your Google Play or to the App Store. You can download an app and get a push notification. So you don't have to wait for your local TV outlet or website to post it. It's texted right to you. And if your student is home and if it gets any worse and like keep us closed, your student's bored at home, we have our class Padlet, and that's accessed through the Google Classroom as well. There's lots of things they can do, variety of subjects from math, language arts, science and social studies, some tech things. Kids love NitroType as an option, language and culture. So lots of cool things that they could do if they are sitting home and saying, I'm bored. Well, they don't have to be once they clean the room, of course. Let's go back here and look at our newsletter. Our newsletter, which will be sent home and is also emailed as part of the email here. This reminder, homework is something that we do. If students don't finish classwork, becomes homework and it is expected to be completed. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I send homework. In a case like today where we didn't have school on Thursday, I don't double it up on Friday. We'll just wait around to the next Tuesday. We are scheduled tentatively for next Friday to be a Friday. Class will be returning to 7th Gen to continue its project. Friday is Popcorn Fridays, although I don't have the answer to whether today will be one with the delay. I haven't been able to ask yet. But generally Friday, bring in 50 cents, you get a bag of popcorn. Bring in $1, you get two. $1.50 for 3, $2 for 4 bags. And that's our limit. I also do not have an update on our report cards at this time. Probably soon, but without school yesterday, wasn't able to ask. Once they come and you see it, if you have questions, comments, concerns, while there are no formal scheduled conferences, I am available to do a Zoom, phone, or in-person conference upon request. Just send me an email at mireland@sagchip.org. That'll be the better one for this. And I'd be more than happy to work something out with you. Also announcing a new culture and language teacher in our classroom, Mr. Wesley Hale, who's been here for several years now at SCA. He is going to take Mr. Chivis's spot in our 5th grade team. So welcome to him. Just a note about these weekly emails. If you're watching this video, chances are you've got this weekly email. Well, what are we working on in class? Well, we are now working in fractions in math. So we're looking at that relationship between fractions and division. I do encourage students to keep working on the things we've already learned. a believer in the use it or lose it. And if we don't use it, we will in fact probably lose it. I know that from a fact from some high school math classes that I don't have a clue anymore. Like calculus. I don't think I'd have any luck there. So to avoid that, students can use resources such as Khan Academy, Prodigy, ST Math. There's a number of math games on the class Padlet that they can use as well. Language arts, we're wrapping up the unit relating to social emotional learning today. We'll be moving on to a new one next week. Social studies, we continue the colonial era. We're soon to be moving into the lead up to the Revolutionary War within the next couple of weeks. Science, we're continuing to study the solar system. Just a reminder for electronics, cell phones and other electronics should be off and in students' lockers. I do make allowances for students to hand them to me to leave in my drawer, or some students are comfortable leaving them at the front desk. That's completely optional. However, if a student is caught using a device during the school day, you will get an email asking you to come pick it up. Just kind of policy. And you can see our language corner. We have the word for properly correctly, and then we have several questions related to the introductions. Looking now finally at our week 23 learning plan, and this is always tentative. Snow days happen, as we learned yesterday, and it throws things off, but this is what we're thinking next week will look like. You'll notice that web is now on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday due to our new language and culture schedule. If there's any cancellations or we have extra time, I will allow for the students to work on their checklist. It's just that they won't be able to, we won't schedule anything on those days. Did change up our tech as well, because much of our tech is based off of computers. We're continuing in writing to work on our persuasive writing. We're finishing that next week. You can see that we do have some writing prompts scheduled, and we also have grammar pieces additional to help students develop their writing. You can see our social studies schedule kind of wrapping around the end of the colonial era. Get some content in, make sure students have a good understanding before they head off to middle school, and eventually in 8th grade they'll do U.S. history, and we want to make sure there's no gaps in their learning. See math review and enrichment, which continues to be a mix of reviewing and spiraling things that we've already done, and I'm looking forward to things that are to come. And you can see our small groups. There are smaller group content that is determined by individual students that is not listed here, as it could be as few as 2 or 3 students or as many as half the class. If the group's larger than that, generally we probably would move it to a math review and enrichment or do it as its own mini lesson. That wraps up what we have been looking forward to for next week. If there is to be any further cancellations or delays today, we'll be more than happy to send another email. Check for that text message. Very helpful. And I hope everyone is safe out on the roads this morning and aware it's a little bit dicey. But everyone have a great weekend. And well, Bumblebee.